A few years ago, I coined the phrase sisterhood of failure. And what this encapsulated was the dynamic in black female society for the last several generations of young black females who are being instructed and indoctrinated and given advice by the female failures in our society. For example, you've got single mothers who've never been married trying to give their daughters and nieces and other females in the neighborhood advice on how to get a husband or on how to keep a man. You've got women who are grossly overweight trying to instruct younger females that men who want women built like video vixens are wrong or are gay, or girl, don't nobody want a bone but a dog. All kinds of horrendous advice from females who cannot show you one success that they've had. And they've become bitter and ugly and older. And then they just sit around feeding on each other. This is the sisterhood of failure. And that was bad enough. Except now we are watching, after several generations of black males being raised by these single mothers in the sisterhood of failure, they have now inculcated and germinated a brotherhood of failure amongst the males. And that's what we're watching emerge now. A group of black males, a generation of black males, and there's a large contingent amongst them who are absolute, total, abject failures, and all they can do is criticize, be negative, and constantly try to cause chaos and havoc. You know, just the male counterpart of the sisterhood of failures. These males can't show you one success that they've had for all their complaining, but they're constantly demanding the right to continue speaking. Not because they have anything meaningful to say, but because they want to talk. They demand attention. Now, when I posted my last video, I made it very clear and very plain what the point of the video was, what the focus was. The focus of the video was how we as black men are actually starting to show some signs of exerting ourselves from the grassroots effort. You need to understand what power is. Power is something you got from yourself. Let me make that very clear to you. You know that you are empowered when you can take a look at an accomplishment that you got from yourself. If it was something that was given to you by other people, that's not empowerment. You see, the problem with emancipation from slavery was we didn't get that on our own. That was given to you by white people. The problem with integration is you didn't get that on your own. That was given to you by white people. And if you didn't give it to yourself, then who's got the power? That's the problem. So I was using as a case study Tariq Nasheed's Hidden Colors 3 documentary and Tommy Sotomayor's A Fatherless America fundraising efforts, and how they were able to generate this amongst themselves. No white influence, no non-black influence or contribution whatsoever, as far as being the primary backers for it. This was something that was generated at the grassroots level on their own. And I thought the point was very clear there, and most black men got it. But, as always, you had members of the Brotherhood of Failure jump up, and they were not happy, because black men doing well is a problem for them. And it's a problem for them because these fellows don't have any accomplishments of their own. They don't know how to accomplish anything on their own. They don't know how to get attention by themselves. When they open their mouths, people start giggling or laughing or ignoring them. But they don't know how to get someone to pay attention to them on their merits. They don't have a thought that anyone would pay any money to listen to. So they watch others who have accomplished something and attack them instead. That's what they do. And try to tell you why they're wrong. And this is the Brotherhood of Failure. Now, these guys have some pretty lame reasons and rationales for why they're doing what they're doing. I'll explain a couple of them here. Now, back in the day, when you used to go to a club, if a black male celebrity showed up, like an NBA player or a rapper or whatever, you know, the females would get excited and giddy, and they start trying to crowd them and things like that. That's just what happens when you're operating at that level. Now, dudes in the club would not get mad about it. What you understood was that this is just the way the game is played. That females respond to power. Now, money is power. A female can only guess how much money the man she's talking to has. But when Michael Jordan shows up or Dennis Rodman shows up, then they know this guy's operating at a way higher level. And that's the way the game is played. You understand that. But what you also understood was that as a man, you understood mathematics. And you understood that they can be as giddy as they want to be, whether it's LL or whoever. I'm talking about back when I was younger. I'm not talking about today. But whoever it was, when they walked in there, he can only take one or two of y'all home at a time. He can't take all of you. So the bottom line is, after they get that out of their system and being giddy, because that's what females are, they're emotional, they're easily excited, and you let the females be females. And after they get that out of their system and all that's played out, then they're going to come back to you, and then we get back to doing what we're doing. And as a matter of fact, that might play to your advantage because you can let her know, obviously you're not that fly because he didn't wink at you. So now you've depreciated. And that's the way the game is played. Back then. This was before the age of the bastard baby maker. Today, the situation that we've got today, all these boys and at this point men who've been raised by all these single mothers and bastard baby makers, these homo thugs with their sagging pants and their skinny jeans and their multicolored shades on. These dudes today, they've got no self-esteem whatsoever. None whatsoever. They are worse than the most irritable, petulant little high school girl that you've ever met. And some of them will literally scream and yell and screech at you. I had one who called into my broadcast a few weeks ago and did just precisely that. Screamed and yelled and screeched and said how much he was going to whoop my behind. This is what you've got today, trying to pass itself off for manhood in many cases. A brotherhood of failure. These are the dudes who are trying to start fights with Drake's entourage or throw bottles at Lil Wayne or shoot at Rick Ross's car. Because they're nobodies. And they understand that they are nobodies. And they have nothing to offer. These are the kinds of individuals who are coming to a video that's talking about black male empowerment, and yet the most they can think to do is to try to attack the two black men that I'm talking about. Totally missed the point that the video isn't really even at its crux about them. I mean, when you get down to the bottom line, the video wasn't really at its core about Tariq and Tommy. It was about the success of black men at a grassroots level being able to generate empowerment and backing for themselves. Because every time you turn around, a black man is talking about, how can I get money to start a business? How can I get money to start a business? Even though you can take a look at his feet and see that he's wasted his money. Even though you can take a look at the wheels in his car and see he's been wasting his money. They constantly ask that. So I was showing you a case study here where these black men are showing you that, hey, here's a formula that you can use, whereas you can start calling your own shots. And rather than these fellows taking it as what it was, an academic endeavor to investigate a success story and a successful formula, they instead were saying, yeah, we're not here for that. Let's get back to getting attention on me. And that's what it's really all about. That's what it's really all about. So just in case you all thought that Venom was just going to be directed at Tommy, who's notorious for that kind of thing, there were plenty of individuals taking shots at Tariq Nasheed. Plenty of them. Taking shots at him. Now, I don't ordinarily do this, but I'm only going to cite these simply because I'm trying to substantiate and make a point here. But we'll just take it head on here. Now, you had individuals trying to criticize Tariq Nasheed. Apparently, some of these guys, or at least they may have been girls pretending to be guys, we don't know. But some of these people were trying to disparage Tariq, and I'm just using him as a case in point. They were trying to disparage him. Oh, you know, he was a drug dealer. He was a gang member. You know, he's a pimp. He's engaged in some nefarious activities. Now, first of all, I don't know if that's true. And you don't know if that's true. And unless you can show some documentation on that, you don't know if that's true or not. But even if it were, my answer to you as black men is, so what? Nefarious activities, give me a damn break. George Herbert Walker Bush and his son W sat up here, blew up half the Middle East, have killed over 1 million people, and you want to talk to me about a black man engaging in nefarious activities and unsavory behavior? Are you serious? Frank Sinatra was as famous for running around with mobsters as he was for running around with Hollywood celebrities. President Kennedy, same thing. But there's a difference, and the difference is these were white men, and white men aren't attention whores. In the mafia, you could get yourself whacked if you were a boss and they saw you being too flashy. That was grounds to get yourself whacked. Because you're being too blatant. You're being too open. You want to sit here and be famous and make a name for yourself. That was part of the problem that they had with Bugsy Siegel. Bugsy Siegel went off and started carousing with celebrities, and all of a sudden, man, you're bad for business. You got too many people looking at us. John Gotti. You can talk about the Teflon Don all you want to. Yeah, he was big for media, but amongst the mafia, they didn't like that mess at all. You're too blatant. We're supposed to be gangsters. Go read Underboss, the story of Sammy the Bull Gravano about Peter Moss. That was one of the core things they didn't like about Gotti. That he was just too damn flashy. He's attention whoring. And all the way to jail, through all those trials, he's sitting up here concerned about how many celebrities knew who he was and how many celebrities showed up at court. This is what black males today do. I said it in the video, and when the comment section opened up, sure enough, a bunch of them came flooding through and substantiated every word I said. They were not concerned about empowerment. They were concerned about panties, and let's just be very, very clear about this. The majority, the overwhelming majority of black males who are taking shots in these video comment sections on Facebook, on Twitter, taking shots at guys like Tommy and Tariq, let's just be very, very clear about this. These dudes are campaigning for panties. Because they understand that there is a low-down, dirty, projects, ghetto, hood rat contingent out there, and if these guys can show where they've made comments attacking these fellas, then they can send private messages to these females saying, you know what, I know you're a queen, I know you're a goddess, and they just understand that that's just not the way you treat a woman like you. So, you know, you and me, we need to get together and start building on this right here. It's about black men and black women building. It's not about tearing down our queens. So what's your number? And that's the way it works. And I am telling you for a fact, I have seen this and watched this in real time. And how you know that these dudes are fake about this is that if they cared about the goddesses and the queens so much and disrespecting the goddesses and the queens, why is it that when a female stands up and disagrees with these fellas and tells them that they support somebody like Tommy, Tariq, myself, or whatever, these dudes immediately bust out into calling her bees and hoes, and every name that they said was disrespectful for our black queens. All of a sudden, these dudes are slinging them like gunfire. You see, she's a female who's not going to do that. He doesn't have any use for you. You're not useful. He needs somebody who's going to play the game. Since you're not going to be useful, he can attack you all he wants to. He doesn't have a shot at you. The average black male today is concerned about panties over power. And when the biggest accomplishment that you have in your life is that you were able to sleep with a bunch of big, fat, ugly, nasty women, broads that have been run through. That's the biggest accomplishment that you have in your life, to the point that you're attacking black men who are actually accomplishing something over it. Fella, welcome. Here's your membership card to the Brotherhood of Failures. As a man, you are supposed to have something to show for your life. You are supposed to have something to show for your existence. You are supposed to have some tangible accomplishments that you can point to. You're supposed to be able to show us where you've accomplished something. If the best you can do is go find a video that has somebody else's name on it and then talk about how much you don't like them, you've just snitched on yourself that you were raised by a single mother in a ghetto project. You've got 4 or 5 brothers and sisters, all by different daddies, because that's the behavior that those places generate. When you've been raised by a man, by a sensible man, he does not teach you to go around and attack other men. He teaches you to be logical. He teaches you to be factual. He doesn't teach you to go around and just engage in silly behavior. And that's silliness. There is nothing that Tariq Nasheed or Tommy Sotomayor has said about a female that should make a black male upset. Not to the point that you're running around and trolling people and following people around. What have they said about you? They haven't said anything about you. Well, if they haven't said it about you, what are you upset about? And the truth is, these guys are not really upset about that. They are hoping that they can say enough and do enough that they can get some attention for some drawers. Or the other thing is that, as I said, they've been raised by these single mothers and bastard baby makers to the point that they identify with them. You see, Tariq Nasheed had a broadcast, and he said something that was very, very telling. He had a broadcast recently where he made the statement that as a man, you shouldn't be seeking nurturing from another man. And I thought that that was a very powerful and profound thing to say. That as a man, you're not supposed to be seeking nurturing from another man. And as a grown man, you actually shouldn't be seeking nurturing from a female either. As a man, though, you should not be seeking nurturing from another man. You should be seeking mentoring. But as far as another man holding your hand and helping you through your feelings and whatnot, you're not supposed to be doing that. Demanding that another man feel the way that you feel, you're not supposed to be doing that. And when I look on these websites and on Facebook and Twitter and I see these young men with these hoes, and I'm calling them what they are, these dirty, slutty ghetto hoes sitting up here with their 5 and 6-year-old children, talking about this is my baby, taking pictures of them in the morning, treating them more like their boyfriends than like their sons. She can't get a man, so she spends her time around children. As a grown woman, let me just detour right quickly. As a grown woman, you are not supposed to be comfortable spending time like that with your children. You're not supposed to be like that. You are not supposed to be identifying with children. You're a grown woman. How is it that you even feel you can identify with children? You are supposed to love them and you're supposed to raise them. You are not supposed to be sitting up here and your children are your social circle. Your children are your social club. That shows that you are highly mentally and emotionally immature and underdeveloped. And what happens to these children? Well, these children grow up and they become members of the Sisterhood and Brotherhood of Failures. That's what happens. So you got grown men demanding nurturing from other grown men. And I know a good number of these dudes who are salty with Tariq or Tommy either got dissed by Tariq or Tommy. Rightly or wrongly, that doesn't matter. As a grown man, you're not supposed to be thinking like that. You are not supposed to be thinking like that. You're supposed to be operating on a higher plane of ideals, not on ego. That's not what a man is supposed to be about. Or at least a man is supposed to gain ego from his accomplishments. He's not supposed to gain ego from his feelings. You're not supposed to sit back here and say, well, I feel a certain way about something. I have a certain ideology, thus I have ego. No, it doesn't work that way. You've got egotism. That's what you've got. You've got entitlement issues. Having entitlement issues does not quantify as an ego. But the Brotherhood of Failure does not accept or understand this. Because they don't operate in the world of accomplishments, they just operate in the world of feelings. Too much feminine energy being bestowed upon a male. And he doesn't know how to handle that. But as men, we're not supposed to be seeking nurturing from other men. We're supposed to be seeking mentoring and We're supposed to be seeking mentoring and enlightenment and intelligence. We're not supposed to be seeking nurturing. Not from another man. And too many of these fellas are sitting here with the most outrageously immature psyches and attitudes you can imagine, demanding sustenance from another man. So they are seeing that these guys are calling situations for what they are. All of a sudden, they don't have their mother there anymore, and they understand, wait a minute, the way that he's describing these hoes and sluts, wait a minute, he's talking about my mama. No, you don't talk about my mama like that. Instead of them being honest with themselves about what they were raised under, they are instead suffering through denial. They are instead having cognitive dissonance. And when they can't make the pieces fit, they attack the messenger. Because they can't attack the message. When you sit up here and the first words out of your mouth are, well, Tariq has done this or that, or Tommy has done this or that. You didn't say anything about what they said. You did not prove how what they said was incorrect. You're attacking them. You're part of the Brotherhood of Failure. You're either campaigning for panties or you are psychologically damaged because your bastard baby-making mother left you a mental and emotional shambles. And this is how you ended up in the Brotherhood of Failures. As black men, we are supposed to be objective. As men, especially as the most powerless men on the planet, we are supposed to be seeking out power. We are supposed to be students and academics of empowerment. We are supposed to be finding it and seeking it out anywhere and everywhere it is. And plugging ourselves into as many power systems as we can. That's what we're supposed to be doing as black men. As men, period. Because you can only lead a people when you're the most powerful. But most of you fellas today are not interested in being powerful. You're quite happy being led. This is the legacy of your fathers. For those of you who know who your fathers are. They didn't build anything, and you see no reason that you should build anything. And that doesn't offend you either. It doesn't offend you that you're not building anything. That doesn't bother you, that you haven't built anything. You're quite happy building nothing. And so here you are. Here you are, building nothing and taking shots at individuals who have. This just shows you how out of touch with reality that a lot of these black males are out here. And this is why they're not going to make it with us. They're not going to make it with us. If he's taking a look at his mama, who has been hoeing and slutting herself for years, and he can't be honest with himself about what she's done, he's not fit to make it. He's not fit. He can't get over that hump. He's still looking back toward Gomorrah. For those of you who know the story of Lot's wife in the city of Sodom and Gomorrah, he's still looking back towards Gomorrah. He's still wistful. He's still trying to find some way that he can make Gomorrah and Jerusalem coexist. And when I say Jerusalem, I mean Jerusalem in the book of Revelation sense, the kingdom come. He's trying to make the cesspool and the slum where he was try to exist with the pristine, perfect kingdom of which he needs to go. And it's not working. It's never going to work. And that's where the anger and the vitriol comes from. This is how you grow up and you are just a bunch of immature attention whores attacking another black man who has accomplished something. Because empowerment doesn't matter to you. Now, your boss at your job can do whatever he wants. For those of you who have a job, amongst you simps and whiners, your boss at your job can do whatever he wants to. And you're perfectly fine with that. And these white females, these white females can call you nigga all day. You are fine with that. You go ahead and go take a look online, y'all. Go try to find the black dudes who are out there seriously taken to task those two white females from this most recent season of Big Brother. and I did a video about that. You go find how many black males are trolling those white females and taking them to task for calling them niggas. You go find them. Go take a look and see if they are following up behind them. Go take a look at the fellas who are leaving crass comments about Tariq and Tommy since they are so concerned about black folk being respected. Go find how many white folk they've gone and said anything to. They don't say anything. They know who the hoe is. The white folks are the pimp, and they know who the hoe is. And that's why they don't say anything. So the only place that they really feel they can do something is around another black male. This is how pathetic the situation has become for them. So I need you as black men to understand that this is the struggle today. There are two factions within black male society. The black men who chase power and the black men who chase panties. One group is fit to survive. The other group is the enemy of everything we hold sacred and everything we hold dear. That is it. There is no in-between. Everybody who's in between is serving the side that chases panties. This is what we're looking at today. This is the lay of the land. This is the terrain on which we find ourselves. Black men who are building and black men who are begging. That's it. And the beggars expose themselves now. As a black man, you are supposed to be objective when it comes to power. You are supposed to be able to analyze it like a research physicist. There is not supposed to be a right, there is not supposed to be a wrong. There is simply supposed to be the quick and the dead. That is what a man is supposed to do. After you've gained power, then you understand that might makes right. Right is not some ephemeral quality, some intrinsic value that is bestowed on the universe. Right is dictated by whoever is most powerful. Napoleon was once asked, on whose side is God? Which army does God support? Napoleon responded that God is on the side of the strongest battalion. As a black man, you are supposed to understand that. You are supposed to look at these things objectively. See them as what they are, accomplishments. It doesn't matter who has done it. I criticize Tyler Perry relentlessly. I also take a look at the formula which he utilized that was successful, and I see, is there something here that I can execute in my situation? Is there some knowledge here that I can glean from that? I do the same thing with Michael Jordan. I do the same thing with Jay-Z. I do the same thing with Rick Ross. I do the same thing with anybody. Where I have differences with them on social levels or differences on social levels. But I am not going to sit here and stand in the way and be an impediment to my own empowerment. Because the bottom line is, if you're not operating at the level of someone who is above you, you need to stop complaining about their empowerment. I complain about a lot of things. I complain about what they've done with their empowerment. I don't sit up here and complain about the fact that they're becoming empowered. That's not what I complain about. As men, we're not supposed to do that. What you are supposed to be doing is analyzing their success to see how you can replicate their success. That is what a man is supposed to do. But manhood is at a premium today. It's in short supply. Because so many males today have been indoctrinated into the cult of the Brotherhood of Failures. So it's so much easier for them to sit around and get advice from other failures. That's easy to get. That's simple to get. You trip over it every 2 feet. There's always some clown who knows absolutely nothing, who is eager and chomping at the bit to give you as much information from his nothing and knowing nothing that you're willing to listen to. As black men, you want to turn the situation around for our people and specifically for yourself. It's time for you to start becoming students of power. And that means recognizing power when you see it and disregarding these do-nothing, panty-begging, club-trolling, Facebook psychos who are going around attacking other black men because they didn't like what somebody said about somebody else. You have never in your life heard white people get mad about what another white person said about black people. They didn't get mad about that. Paula Deen was bad for business. She had white folk lined up at her restaurants. They didn't get mad at her about what she said about black folk. They didn't get mad at Rush Limbaugh for 20 plus years about what he said about black folk. They didn't get mad at Don Imus for what he said about black folk. He's back on the radio, been back on the radio. Wasn't off really that long when you think about it. These other people don't do that and never have. You've never heard Italians, Asians, Jews, Hispanics, Indians, Lithuanians. You've never heard any of them get mad about what somebody in their group has said about somebody else. They only get mad about what they say about them. So when you see a black male doing that, you understand that you're dealing with a mentally unhinged or unbalanced individual, or an emotionally unhinged or unbalanced individual. And they can really be the same thing when you think about it. This is how bad the situation has gotten. And as black men, you're supposed to be better than that. How in the world can you lead when you are seeing the world through the eyes of your oppressor or through your women? You can't lead like that. When you come out of the gate saying, I am a black man, and I see the world through the eyes of white men and black women, you're already a failure before you got started. You are supposed to be seeing the world through your eyes, not through anybody else's. That's how you gain success. Go back and listen to that video again as I detail and outline for you the key elements and the core principles that made their efforts successful. And then start comparing that to the individuals who do the whining and the complaining. They're not trying to build anything. They're just trying to complain. In their eyes, that constitutes an accomplishment. And then understand what you're really looking at. Some powerless buffoon who's a card-carrying member of the Brotherhood of Failures. And we'll get up 20 years, 30 years, 40 years from now. He will still be right where he is, doing nothing, talking about nothing, accomplishing nothing, and demanding that every single person around him be the same. A failure.